Hello and welcome to our bonus match build-up show this week, and apologies if this has come out a little late. Sometimes life gets in the way, but it's another trip to Merseyside for the third time in a space of about 6 weeks. Saints travel up to Everton and Goodison Park on Tuesday night for the Carabao Cup, or the League Cup, just ordinarily to me and you. This game would have originally been the week before, but Everton and Liverpool Football Club couldn't decide a suitable date as they were both drawn at home, and would have been a logistical police nightmare. Yet still, Saints are looking for that elusive win at Goodison Park. Can we find it this Tuesday for the first time in 21 years? Could this be the time to break our hoodoo? So, coming up on this week's show, I speak to Matt from the SFC Delivery podcast all the way from California to speak about our chances of breaking that hoodoo and discuss whether it is currently quantity over quality at the moment for Saints, and whether it's a chance for the fringe players to stake a claim for the first team.
Right now, it looks like this is something that we actually do need. We do need a win. And I also think this is another opportunity to push for more games for some of those players that are on the fringes, because without it, Qdis has shown a reluctance to bring in some new players to the squad. So they really are playing for their livelihood in a way.
I also speak to the opposition and Ped from Toffee TV to understand if the League Cup is in fact a serious trophy to consider for Everton.
And it'll be interesting to see what the approach will be on Tuesday night. I hope there isn't that many changes, because I want to take this trophy seriously, because I think this is a trophy that Everton should be striving to win every single year. We've never ever won this trophy.
So stick with us for the rest of the show for your important away pubs and travel advice if you are in fact going up to Everton this week. As usual, this episode is available to download in the card above my head if you're watching on YouTube, and available on most audio platforms in the links below. So let's get on with our additional match preview show this week as Saints prepare for another trip to Everton. So welcome along to our match preview part of the show. Once again, we've got another guest on the episode to help us look forward to the Everton game and maybe trying to figure out how we can break that hoodoo in 21 years without a win at Goodison Park. Once again, I'd like to welcome to the show all the way from California, Matt Markstone, the host of the SFC Delivery podcast. Matt, thanks for getting up so early to speak to us.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me on. We were talking, it's a bit of a late night, early morning, but it's my pleasure to be involved as always.
But it was a bit of a late night for me as well, getting back to Birmingham quite late and then nipping into the pub on the way home for a one for the road. But less of that. As usual, we will touch upon the last fixture, and as it is pretty much still fresh in our minds as yesterday, we're recording this on the Sunday afternoon, or Sunday morning in your case. Wolves 2-0 at the Molineux. I mean, I asked the fans outside of the ground yesterday, but in your opinion, what are Saints doing so badly wrong at the moment?
Yeah, it just seems like yesterday there were points in the match where just our individual defending just didn't get it done. There were large portions of the match where you would have felt that we could have come away with something, whether it be a point or 3 points. But it was just in those key moments. Armstrong, of course, not nearly enough to do out wide, and that may be another issue entirely, but Wesley Hoot for the first goal, just not enough. And he's come under a lot of criticism lately, and he's been a target for that. Maybe he's this year's Nathan Redmond, but I think the difference is he's made several key mistakes that have cost us points, and yesterday was just one more example of that.
Yeah, the popular opinion seems to be that there's no leader, we're lacking confidence, and yesterday it's easy to point out, and probably an easy excuse to say that Vestergaard and Hoot were again once at fault for the goals.
Yeah, absolutely, and we brought in Vestergaard with the hope that he would be kind of the strong kind of leader at the back, and he hasn't proven that yet. And I didn't notice it initially, but watching the replay back, he gets shoved off the ball when that ball comes in for the first goal, and he's on the ground as the ball goes in. And there were a number of errors, and whether it was Traore and Bertrand being on the yellow and all the kind of factors that go into it. But in the end, yeah, the center backs are the ones that get looked at for it, because at the end of the day, one gets beat and one's on the ground, and that's just like we said, just not good enough. But I don't know what you do to change that. I don't know if it's I don't think it's a formation, and maybe it just takes time. But we've got to figure it out, because points are being dropped left and right at this point.
I think it is, like we've been saying over the last few weeks, almost a case of deja vu again. It's the mentality of the players, their heads drop as soon as the goal goes in. I was watching the replay again earlier, and when Bertrand gets beat by Traore leading up to that first goal, he just sort of shrugs his shoulders, looks around a bit, and there's no busting a lung to get back and trying to save the team for what it was an inevitable goal. I mean, some people are saying that Vestergaard and Hoot are too slow, but is that too obvious? Have they got the turning circle of a bus?
Well, Vestergaard, the FIFA ratings came out, not too long ago, and the pace is definitely not there. But you have to compensate for that. And Bertrand and Cedric both have plenty of pace. Lamina can get up and down. So, they are a bit slow to turn, but that's not supposed to be their strong suit. So we should be able to cover for that out wide. And at that point in the match, Bertrand needs to put a little bit more effort in. He is the captain. I love him to death. He's one of my favorite players, but that can't happen, especially as the captain. Like, Shane Long would have made the run. Shane Long would have tracked back, and I realize that's maybe not a fair comparison, but that is something that we I think is the least we can expect from our players, is to put forth the maximum effort. And to be honest, I just wasn't there for that run, and it's disappointing.
And Mark Hughes said in his interview after the game to the press, he said, we deserved more for most of the game, that we controlled the possession. To be honest, I don't think I subscribe to that too much. But one thing I want to point out, though, you had the advantage of watching it on the TV, I assume, but the corners were absolutely atrocious yesterday. Have we really got no one that can deliver a ball with a brilliant sort of technique other than James Ward-Prowse?
Apparently, yes. That corner from Elyounoussi at one point was even the commentator said that's the worst corner I've ever seen, and I was like, surely he slipped or something happened, but he just managed to put it behind. And I would yell at the other players from my daughter's U10 team if they were to do that. And it was just that was pretty pathetic from him at that point. But we also had another short corner that didn't work out. We wound up all the way back at our own goalkeeper. We didn't look good, and with the tallest center back pairing in the Premier League, you would think that we would have something to offer from corners, but we just haven't this year, and maybe it's just the same thing in terms of them when we defend. They're just not powerful, they're not strong enough in the air, and that's starting to show on all over the pitch, I guess. It's
almost a case that teams that play against us at set pieces, they don't fear us anymore. When we had Font and Van Dijk, there was always a threat in the air, always a threat that they could push the player off and knock in a couple of goals. And Vestergaard, who haven't been showing too much physicality at the moment. I personally would give Bertrand the corner. I think he seems like the only person that can really deliver the ball properly, but he's being employed sort of on the edge of the area, ready to kind of counter attack, really.
Elyounoussi should be able to put in a ball. I mean, you would think that wingers, part of their job is to maybe he just needs to dribble it once, and maybe we need to have somebody slide it out to him and let him take a run at it or something. But I don't know. I think the ball needs to go into the box, and you need to take your chances. We're not scoring a ton of goals from open play. We're not creating a ton of chances necessarily. Although we did have several shots yesterday, but just they're not falling. So. I don't know, get the ball in the box, let's take a shot, take a chance. Yeah, there were half opportunities, let's say, for at the Molineux yesterday, but surely the team has to go back to the training ground and just practice on their set pieces. But we've got to look forward to a chance, a bit of respite perhaps away from the league. It's now obviously back to the League Cup on Tuesday. Originally it was scheduled for the week before, but as Liverpool were also drawn at home, it was a logistical nightmare for the police to kind of find a suitable fixture date in the same week. So we're now being pushed back, and we've also found out the fate. If we do beat Everton, we have to play Leicester City away, another away game in the League Cup. Another midweek traveling day for the fans. Obviously, the Everton match is a bit further. I don't know if very many fans will be looking forward to this, simply because the history that we've had at Goodison Park lately. But you would expect, I think, the team to be changed on both sides. I don't think Marco Silva is going to deploy a full-strength squad. we don't play till Sunday. Maybe we have a few more of our starters playing, but at the same time, this is a chance, I think, for a lot of the guys on the fringe to maybe challenge for a spot, because I'd be willing to argue that there aren't very many players in the first team right now that were starting yesterday that have spots locked down. I think that results their performances and lack of performances, lack of runs, lack of showing up in key moments, I think there are definitely spots to play for, I think.
Yeah, and in the last round at Brighton, we made 10 changes, and I think we'll probably expect the same sort of policy this week. And I was looking at the two team lineups for the two previous games. So Everton played Rotherham, they won 3-1. We beat Brighton 1-0. We made 10 changes, but as for Everton, actually they had quite a few first teamers in their team, but as for us, it is an opportunity for the fringe players to pitch for a place in the first team. If you look at it, right, so you've got Angus Gunn, Stevens, Yoshida, Bednarek, Target, Davis, Romeo, Ward-Prowse, Armstrong, Gabbiadini, to an extent Gallagher. I mean, is it quantity over quality at the moment?
I definitely think that there's something to that. I think there's maybe a lack of top shelf players. I know Adam Blackmore tweeted about it yesterday, that the kind of policy of selling players on and failing to replace them with the top level talent, or players that are reaching the top level talent and continuing to develop while they're here. So yeah, the squad is deep. Does it have the strength that we necessarily need? I don't know. I don't know if there's that big of a difference between guys that were starting yesterday and guys that are going to replace them in midweek. And I think the difference in quality is definitely from the guys that were starting yesterday versus the guys who were starting 2 years ago. I think that's where the huge drop in quality is. Yeah,
people were saying yesterday that we've got almost sort of 200, 300,000 on the bench, and why not just sort of go for that one star quality player and go for the 200, break the bank, But this is a chance to break our hoodoo. In 21 years without a win at Goodison Park, and recently we haven't had good luck on Merseyside.
Of course, we were up there just last week with Liverpool and things like that. But there is a chance for us to go out there and do something. There is less of maybe less pressure in the League Cup. But to be honest, right now, maybe because it's the morning after a loss, I'm not feeling as optimistic. But maybe come Tuesday evening, I'll be more optimistic. But right now, it looks like this is something that we actually do need. We do need a win. And I also think this is another opportunity to push for more games for some of those players that are on the fringe, because without it, Hughes has shown a reluctance to bring in some new players to the squad. So they really are playing for their livelihood in a way, if they want a chance to either play in the league or be able to play in the League Cup, period.
And I want to see some fighting spirit, a desire to win. And perhaps that's what we've been lacking over the past couple of weeks. It's the mentality, as we say, sort of almost every time on our show. But you'll be pleased to know we will not be visiting Merseyside again this season unless we are in the FA Cup.
That's probably better for you because, like I said, for me it's on TV. But I will complain a little bit that here in the United States, it is of course the only League Cup game this week. Some of them were televised last week. Man City was televised. Wolves was televised. A couple of other matches were televised. The one League Cup match this week, not televised. So thank you to whoever's making that decision. I hate you.
Blame the TV companies. Of course, it's Champions League as well on the same night. But Matt, what are you hoping for? What's the result you think that we can take from Goodison Park and actually give us some good luck and help us kick on for the rest of the season?
I'm going to go 1-1 draw, but we're going to go through on penalties because I'd never like to say we're going to lose. But I can't see us keeping a clean sheet, and I can't see us scoring more than one goal. So hopefully we get to penalties, and Vestergaard will put one of those dipping free kicks in, and he'll actually beat the keeper. All
right, well, there you have it then. Do let us know your predictions. Matt, big thanks for joining us, and go get yourself some coffee, mate.
Yeah, I need it, man. I'll talk to you later.
So once again, a big thanks to Matt for waking up ever so early on a California morning from the SFC Dellivery podcast. Be sure to check out his latest episode. It is available to download in the link above my head and, of course, in the links below as he talks the West Brom game. And I'm looking forward to this game on Tuesday as well. But if you are, in fact, travelling up, here's some of your travel advice and your away pubs. As usual, the Our Calls pub is available as an away designated pub on the corner of Stanley Park and Anfield Road. And if you are looking for a pub a little closer to the ground, why not consider the Weatherspoons on Walton Road, the Thomas Frost, which also accepts away fans. Now, if you are looking for alternative travel and taking the 2 days off work, really, be sure to consider our favourite coach travel provider, Southampton Away Travel, who are laying on coaches for less than £30, inclusive with the usual onboard entertainment, 4G Wi-Fi, free food and drink. But do make sure you have booked the day off and then probably the next day off too. Otherwise, you'll be getting back at silly o'clock with about 2 hours sleep for the next day's work. Anyway, now it's time to move on to our second half of the build-up show as I speak to our Everton friends and find out if they will be taking this competition seriously. So welcome along to our second half of our match build-up show, and once again we get the chance to speak to our opposition, a familiar face from Merseyside from the Blue Half once again, Ped from Toffee TV.
Everything in life is better after a win, isn't it? You go, the last time we won a game in the Premier League was against yourselves, and suddenly the world is a completely different place. On Saturday's game when we were playing Fulham and when Gylfi Sigurdsson missed that penalty, I just wanted the world to, a hole in the world to just swallow me up. And then, half an hour later, you've come away with a 3-0 win and suddenly everything looks better. So yeah. And suddenly you look at games and everything looks more positive. So I'm sure you felt the same a couple of weeks ago when you beat Crystal Palace and you had that same feeling.
Yeah, a belief, let's say. But as I say, it's a 3-0 win at home to Fulham, and by all means, the first half, according to reports and according to the highlights, was a sort of a dull affair, and you sort of kicked into life in the second half.
I suppose a lot of games are like that, aren't they, in the Premier League? You go and you go on that first goal in a lot of games. Said this so many times, especially for the teams outside the top six. It all comes down to that first goal, and Fulham had a great chance in the first half. That Sissy nicked the bar with, and if that goes in, then suddenly the game's completely different. And then in our last couple of games, West Ham at home and last week at Arsenal, they're games that if we'd got the first goal in, they could have been completely different. And I think that's just where we are at the moment. I'm sure it's the same for yourselves. You go to Crystal Palace, get that first goal, dig in, and then get a late second goal. Whereas you've seen yourselves at Wolves, you go and get that, you go behind and in a game that's close, and you find it going the other way. So I find a lot of these games just come down to that first goal, who digs in, and a lot of the time you come away with victorious. And
like you say, Sigurdsson missed that penalty, struck the bar, kind of rattled for about a minute or two afterwards. But in the second half, the report suggests we saw the best of Sigurdsson. But what it was as well, also for the first time in quite a few weeks, actually, there was no changes to your starting 11.
Yeah. More importantly, I think no changes to the back four, where we've had problems. And earlier on in the season, we had problems with the set pieces, which you scored a goal against us. Danny Ings got a goal against us from zonal marking, and that was the big talking point for the first few weeks, how many goals we were conceding. And that was, yesterday was actually only our first clean sheet of the season. So, and I think the fact that we had it was the second game in a row we'd gone into having the same back four really helped. Michael Keane has come back into the defence in the last couple of weeks, having got a head injury against Bournemouth, and I think that's really helped as well. Elsewhere on the pitch, it was the same team, but a lot of people didn't want the same team, so it won't really count for anything when we play you guys on Tuesday, because I imagine there'll be changes from both sides. So I think, like any team, though, if you can get a settled back four, I think you can have changes in front of your back four, but if you can get a settled back four and get that relationship and start building those relationships, you can start grinding out results because you can keep a clean sheet. So that was really important for us.
First of all, before we even get to sort of the team selection conversation, there was a bit of a logistical nightmare with this fixture, because both Liverpool and Everton were drawn at home in the same week. I mean, why was the fixture moved from your end over in Merseyside?
Well, simply because we were both at home, but normally you would have a bit of jostling Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday would be likely the scenario. But I think we played on the Sunday against Arsenal. Chelsea played on the Sunday as well. And that just meant that no one was willing to budge. And I suppose that shows you the power now of TV and the influence it has. In previous years, we may have buckled and said, oh, we'll play the Tuesday. But I think Everton now, from a boardroom level, are not willing to just throw the hand in. So it was moved to this week. And I think that makes sense for everybody. I mean, it does mean that we both know that if one of us wins this game, that we will play Leicester away. And I suppose that takes something out of it, but I think it's better. I think it's worked out better for everyone that it's played this week.
Well, let's get on to the League Cup approach then, I suppose. I mean, there's obviously a huge kind of, let's say, conversation, a belief in most Premier League teams that it's a chance to rotate some players, a chance for some youngsters to get some first-team football, especially for us as well. We play some fringe players. But I looked at your team lineup in the previous round against Rotherham, 3-1 at home. There wasn't so much rotation at all. There's quite a few first-teamers playing on that night.
Well, there was, but from the previous games, there was 9 changes. So since then, some of those players might have got themselves into the first team, but on that night we'd made 9 changes from the previous game, so we'd had injuries as well and suspensions. So even though it didn't seem like that, I think that just shows you that we've got, on paper, a decent looking squad now. It'll be interesting to see what the approach will be on Tuesday night. I hope there isn't that many changes, because I want to take this trophy seriously, because I think this is a trophy that Everton should be striving to win every single year. We've never ever won this trophy, and I think we should be, because at the end of the day, if you can win this trophy as a team outside the top 6, number one, it gives you a trophy, which was what every club should be striving for. It's what me and you should be starting the season looking to do for our respective clubs. But also it gives you a passage into Europe, and if you can get into Europe in February, then suddenly the rest of the season becomes it's a burden taken off you, and you can then enjoy the rest of your season. So I hope we go in with a strong team, but I think there are opportunities for some of the players. We've got some players that could come back on Tuesday night. We've got players that haven't been informed that could play. And one of the players I'd say straight away is Bernard, a player that we brought in the summer, free transfer, who looks a hell of a player. I mean a hell of a player. He looks like someone that could be playing in the Champions League. Now, he could start this game and really have a big influence on it. He hasn't started the game yet because of his fitness, and because we brought him in so late, and he didn't have a pre-season, so he's been managed. So I would like to see him play, but I hope there aren't that many changes, because, as I say, we've got this game, and then we play Leicester away on Saturday, and then I think that's the international weekend then. So I don't want to have loads and loads of changes, because I think this is an important game for both of us. Yeah.
We're craving for some success as well. We want to take this competition seriously, but having said that,
so you should.
Having said that, Oped, I mean, what sort of players do you think will be rotated? Tom Davies led the team out at the weekend, and he also captained the side in the previous round.
Well, that shows you from the previous round, he didn't start the season in the team. So when he came into that team, he went into the side and he captained it, and it was like, oh, okay, he's getting a chance in the League Cup. Well, he's taken that chance recently, and now he's captaining the team in the Premier League. So he took that chance that the manager gave him from the League Cup. So it'll be interesting to see with other players. I hope he doesn't change the back four too much. I don't think there's that much scope. Seamus Coleman will still be out injured. He may bring Leighton Baines in at left back. Lucas Digne's been doing excellent there, but he might bring him back. Bernard ahead of him, he might bring into the side as well. Cenk Tosun, who has started on the bench in the last couple of games, might start this game. So those changes from the outside might look like changes, but for, they're players who should be in the first team. Will he rest Theo Walcott? I don't know. Looks like he's been struggling with a bit of a knock recently. He could bring Sneijderlin back into the side, who's missed the last couple of games. So those changes are first team players. So from our point of view, that looks good. That looks good on paper. But it's whether these players take their chances. I hope he leaves Jordan Pickford in goal, because I don't think the players underneath Jordan Pickford are good enough. And for me, I always think it starts with the goalkeeper. I think if you leave a first team goalkeeper in, you're saying we're taking this seriously. Because you look at what happened to Manchester United last week. You know, they played the second choice goalkeeper. He gets sent off, and then suddenly you've got your third choice goalkeeper in. No one's third choice keeper, I don't think, is really good enough for to get you to a cup final. So I think there will be 2, 3, possibly 4 changes, but I don't think it'll be a case of, we're going to throw this kid in and that kid and that kid. I think there'll be changes that bring first teamers back into the side. And
it does, by the sound of things, it does sound like a strong team that you might suggest as well. But let's try and wrap things up for this part then, the Ped. Obviously, VAR will also be in action on Tuesday evening. But let us know your prediction. How do you think Everton will fare? Will it go to penalties, and can Saints cause an upset for the first time in 21 years? Still looking for that win.
No, I always try and be respectful on these, because I would never come on someone else's channel and say we're going to do something to them. But I am still going to be respectful. I think we'll win because you'll make loads of changes. Is that respectful enough? I think that is, isn't it? I think Mark Hughes will not take this game as seriously as Marco Silva will. I think Mark Hughes will see this as a game he doesn't want, and I think you'll make a lot of changes, and I think your changes will weaken your team more than our changes will weaken our team, and because of that, I think we'll win. I don't think I can be any more respectful than that, can I? I don't think I can be.
Well, all the best, Ped. Just remind everybody where we can find you.
Toffee TV, if you can join us on Twitter, it's at Toffee TV EFC, the same on all our socials and on YouTube as well.
And all the best, just not on Tuesday night.
No, we want to win. I couldn't care less.
Once again, a big thanks to Ped from Toffee TV for joining us this week. Be sure to check out all their channels for all of your Everton needs. But how can Saints break this curse of 21 years? How are you feeling going into this round of the League Cup? Do get involved in the conversation. Let us know your thoughts and predictions. Get in touch with us on the usual social means. And that pretty much does call full time on this week's bonus episode. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. We might see you at Goodison Park. Come on, you Saints.